Welcome to the Intuitive Health Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Rafferty, medical doctor, PhD, Reiki and shamanic intuitive healer. I'm here to bring you on a journey of holistic healing that explores the science of the physical body combined with mental and emotional well-being, energetic and spiritual health. And I am so excited today to have the absolutely amazing Lorraine join us, the founder of Festival Manaw and the wellness coach online. And I am just so grateful for your time and just for your energy and for being able to come and talk to me today about all things women. Oh, so thank you for being here.
Yeah, really excited to be here and thanks so much for having me. So I suppose my passion really comes down to just empowering women and bringing women together and allowing us to have that beautiful healing space together collectively. I think it's hugely important for me and for what I do, with the festival and with any of the workshops that I do for women. It's all about coming together and really empowering ourselves.
Oh, yes. I absolutely love this. I think uh, women's health is my passion. It had been all the way through kind of my medical journey. And when I came out the other side, I went to work in Hollis Street. I just feel so passionate about women's health, and especially working in a space now that integrates healing and medicine, and looking at how we can help women at all stages of their life journey, because there's so many complexities on the day-to-day hormone changes, the hour to hour, the week to week, and then the year to year. And the further I get in now as a more holistic practitioner, the more I'm realizing, oh my God, there are so many gaps. There is so much discrepancy. And I could literally sit here and just talk an hour into what I've even just seen this week, what's been missed through the medical system and the infrastructure of how care, unfortunately, has gone within the country, and the situations women have found themselves in. And it actually breaks my heart every single day, some of the stories, the test results I get back that should have been done kind of 4 years ago, rather than just popping someone on a pill. So obviously that's through my lens. I would love to hear how you found your way kind of into this space. There's so many things I want to talk to you about, because I know you do all the menopause pieces, which I absolutely want to explore with you. But I'd love to know kind of what led you to actually setting up the Festival Manaw, and even just finding your way into the online sphere about coaching and all the wonderful things that you provide.
I suppose for me, all of the work that I do has been my own personal journey. And for me, after I had my third child, I really, really felt that I needed, to get back to feeling like myself. I would just turned 30 and I really wanted to get back to feeling like myself after having three children, two very close together. There's only 15 months between my last two. So it's a huge change in not only your body, your hormones, but in how you have to show up each and every day. So I was always passionate about fitness. I was always passionate about nutrition. I always really looked after myself. So I went on to become a personal trainer first and foremost. And, I absolutely love exercise. I think it's hugely important for us to to lead a really healthy lifestyle, but also to know about our bodies and what exercise suits different times of the day, the month, the week, and I always felt that coaches never really targeted that. I was in CrossFit for years, and my coach at the time would like, you have to PB today, and I'm like, I'm not going to PB today. Like I'm in my period. I'm definitely not going to be lifting my strongest. I feel tired, I feel weak, I feel drained, but they never seem to have taken that into account. Things have changed a lot, I think, since then, and there's a lot more awareness for the female body and how we should flow differently and train differently at different parts of our cycle. But from then, I suppose I went on to I'd studied nutrition as well. And obviously, all those estrogen benefit foods that we should be taking every day, and all the good omegas and fats and our magnesium, and it's hugely important as well for me that we feed and fuel our bodies through food and nutrition and supplements. And from there, there was something missing. So I became a coach, a life coach, and that would have been about, say, 13 years ago now. Still, I wasn't really on the social media platform. I actually didn't have social media. I lived a very sheltered life. But I was being a busy mom, and I always loved learning, and I was educating myself all the whole while time working full time as a social care worker. That's my background. I'm a social care worker and have been for 25 years. So yeah, I just kept going on and on, I suppose, with my own learning and with my own, showing up for people. I was doing one-on-ones, and I had my own like little mini business doing spin classes and stuff like that, and coaching classes and just one-on-one PTing. But there was always something missing, and it wasn't until then I began my own journey with plant medicine, and really delving deep into the healing journey. I went through a separation, and I really felt like I needed to get back to the core of where my healing needed to be and where my trauma lied. And it was obviously childhood, a lot of childhood trauma, and it's not significant childhood trauma, but trauma that did impact my life. So when I do my own healing work, and really found, I suppose, cacao, and I've worked with a lot of different plant medicines to allow that to unravel, and that was the missing piece. It was bringing that holistic healing, the heart space first, before we can heal any of the physical or any of the emotional or mental. We need to get deep down into what it is that we need to heal, I think, individually, and from there it grows.
Yes. I love that. It's so wild because I think this heart centered approach to things is just such a key in people's journey. And we're leading a retreat in May specifically centered on the heart in order to help women tap into actually, well, what are the shadows in the heart, first of all, that I'm holding that maybe I haven't fully let go over, that are blocking my full expression of what needs to come through my heart. The heart is such an amazing center. And when you're training in Reiki, the light or the chi or the prana energy, it moves down through your crown chakra into the heart and out through your hands. And even through the shamanic journey, it was awakening the heart so that actually you can live authentically from a very heart-centered space. And when you allow the authenticity to flow through your heart by following what your heart is telling you, the joy and the love and all that, it just leads you on the path of your destiny. And you know I think we're so conditioned by society these days, aren't we? Really, to kind of show up in a way that isn't in alignment with what our heart is telling us. Like, and this is what blocks people fulfilling their destinies, from tapping into their gifts. And even I even found on this journey, when I was starting, I was like, oh God, should I be doing it this way or that way? And I was like, well, what is my heart telling me? What do I love to do? Like, what type of client do I love to work with? What fills my heart with joy? Because when we live from that space, actually, you just radiate the most magical energy, don't you?
Yeah. And for me, I just really feel like, especially for women,
Mhm.
we take on so much, and we're always meeting everybody else's needs. And if we're doing this to the extent for so many years, and parents and jobs and homes, and all of the list that women have to take on, which I like, no offense to our male counterparts, they're incredible, but we do take on a lot more, of the day to day living and running of homes and children
Yes.
and stuff like that, and emotional needs as well. Um, if if we're not taking care of ourselves, and if we're not filling our own cup, then the resentment starts to kick in, and then there's resentment, and there's a lack mentality, and then there's the anger, and the bitterness. So if we're feeling those emotions in our heart space, because we're just overworked, and just the Russian woman, the busy woman, we're overworked, we're too tired to take care of ourselves. This is where the problems begin, and these little seeds can get planted within us, where we're just then living out of just firefighting, really. And that's not a good space to be in, because that's when you're totally switched off from listening to your heart and your true heart's desires. So filling your own cup first is a huge part of what I do, and how I share
Yeah.
my message with women, because then we can make space for, okay, I've given myself 15 minutes today, or I've sat with my cup of cacao, or I've done a little few breathing exercise. Now I can actually tap into, how do I feel? How does Lorraine actually feel right now? Tired, stressed, busy, overwhelmed, maybe, whatever it is. Just check it in, and just noticing, without judgment. Okay, this is where I'm at today. Let's see how I can get on, because
Mhm.
it's busy. Life is busy, and you want to, make sure that the people that you love are taken care of as a
Yeah.
woman. This is our first protocol, to nurture and to really care for the people that we love. But if we're not caring for ourselves, that's when the problems
Oh,
begin.
yes. Like this pouring from an empty cup, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know, it's so crazy. So much was resonating with me as you were speaking there, from the lovely women that come to work with me. And it's
Mm,
almost like this journey with fire. I find it fascinating. And I'm seeing
mm,
so much of it at the moment. It's almost like the two extremes of fire. Now, the thing is, fire can be so amazing. It can,
yeah.
like, fire can be the anger, that rises through us that actually encourages a change to occur in our life. We're not putting up with people's shit anymore, We're like, that's it. I'm reaching breaking point.
Burn away.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. It's like the phoenix rising from the
Mm,
flames, essentially.
mhm,
But when there's an imbalance in how the fire is channeled, you either get the people who their throat chakras are so pinched, the steam that's rising, the smoke
mm,
that's rising from the fire that's not being expressed through the throat chakra,
mhm.
and then you get an explosion, or else you get complete suppression of the fire, and that fire it's in the body,
Yeah.
and this is the thing that I'm seeing when I'm doing a lot of energetic work around the womb, things like endometriosis,
Mm,
fibroids. It's fire. It's fire that's
mhm.
there. It's disgust. It's rage. That's not even just your rage. It's stuff coming down through the lineage that hasn't been
Yeah.
felt. So it will
Mm,
find a path. It will find somewhere to rest,
mhm.
unless it's being felt and expressed. And I just love that you're kind of talking into this energy of, well, actually, how can we use that fire to make positive
Mhm.
changes for the lives of women that are on this journey. Yeah.
And like, funny that you speak about the fire, because our Festival Mana logo is the phoenix rising from the ashes.
Oh, I love it.
Because yeah, that was, so for me it was really important when I was thinking of the logo and when I was tapping into that energy. It was the phoenix rising from the ashes, and it was that's how I felt. I had completely come to the lowest point of my life, that there was no other way up but to rise, and to rise and to rise together, and to bring everybody together. And the image is actually an amazing sculpture. Imogen Stafford, her name is. She's an amazing sculptor who was at an Ishnok festival, and that image was burnt. That image of the woman was actually burnt in the Ishnok fire. Okay, and when I seen it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's the image for Festival Mana." And I had to go through so many ways to try and use her image and get it repainted, the image, and it's just means so much to me. And that's where it comes from. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. But not only that, we're rising alone, like we're rising together, and all of that ancestral energy that women have, especially in our womb space, especially the fear, the hurt, the trauma, the shame, from many our grandparents. And when I do a lot of work, like over the weekend, we worked a lot with Bridget's flame and
I
Bridget's
love
fire.
it.
Like, I mean, so such a powerful. I just lit her flame just there before I came on with you, like, sort of really feeling that energy so strongly all week. But it's like, I always go back to the ancestral root, and channel that energy to heal. Obviously, my grandmother, who was born on St. Bridget's Day, her name is Bridget, to heal her mother's energy, to go back the 7 years previous and the 7 years forward for our children, for my daughter's daughter, and because it's not just about healing ourselves, it's about a ripple effect of healing. I think that's really going to help the women living in Ireland today, because it's such a deep emotion that we hold, especially in our womb space.
Oh, I love it.
Incredible.
I'm just so excited. I'm getting on my crazy spirit tingles. I call them my
Yeah,
tingle.
I'm the same.
I love just speaking about this. Do you know, it's so wild because I had a huge Bridget's womb healing ceremony here on Saturday. And it was just so, so gorgeous. I work with the energy of the goddess for my womb healing sessions. And it's so funny because I've had a couple of women through to me over the last couple of days. They're like, "Oh, I went to see my reflexologist after you did a womb healing, and they were a bit of concern because there was a bit of fire in my womb when they're doing the reflexology." I was like, "That's good. You need to
Yeah,
leave that energy there. That's Bridget's energy coming to support your womb, you know?"
exactly. Healing and protective energy as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But for me as well, the fire also represents that fire in your belly, the passion. So when I'm working with Bridget's energy, it is about burning away all of that, the shame, the fear, all of that. But it's also about tapping into our creativity and our passion, our fire in our belly, because it is in our womb. But it's also, if we don't go after what it is we want, in life, we are going to feel depleted. We are going to feel like that, that resentful as well. And that comes back into the heart space. So they're also connected, and even our throat chakra, as you said earlier, to be able to say what we mean and say how we feel and connect it to our heart. But that fire in the belly energy, I love working with that, because I'm such a go after, forget about other people, forget about the fear. What we only have a short time on this earth. Let's live it to our best, our maximum potential, and just really go after what it is you want. Because I spent so many years not being able to speak my truth, and so many years living in the shadow. Whereas now it's like, I don't care anymore. I don't care. It's real fuck everything energy.
Yes.
No, no fucks given energy.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
As well, but it's an experience, and age is like, I don't care anymore. I'm gonna be me, and
Go
I'm gonna
do
just
it.
rock and
Well, this is the thing, like, the womb is such a beautiful space. Like, it obviously it can create life, but that energy can be channeled into creating your destiny. And
Mhm,
it is such a powerful energy, that fire in the womb, that fire in the belly. And then, like you say, when you go on a journey with the throat chakra, and you can use it to actually express the creative force,
mhm,
express yourself in a very creative energy to actually follow your journey. And it's so wild, because a lot of the women that I work with, actually, I tend to find that when there's a lot of fear within the lineage, there tends to be a lot of kind of disturbance of the energetics within the kidney space, and even within the bladder, I tend to find. So it's almost
mhm,
like, well, actually, what's happening there? Are women getting kind of recurrent UTIs? Is there
mhm,
disturbance in the energy there, even within the womb or the vaginal flora? And it's all kind of
mhm,
signs to me that actually, is there fear that's bubbling through the body that's preventing the creative expression of this energy? You know,
mhm.
and I love what you were saying there. Like, can you lean in and actually work through that fear to fully become and embody this absolutely powerful woman on your path of destiny, you know?
Mm. I think it's a very Irish thing to, just especially for women, to stand back and, don't be seen, don't be heard, be seen, and as we were growing up, we would have always been told, ladies should be seen, not heard. And, to voice, even in marriages gone back, like even my mother maybe wouldn't have had as much freedom as I would, and definitely my grandparents, the women were almost, the second voice of the family. Like the man was definitely the most prominent voice of the family, traditionally. But that's changing now, and I think that women, should be heard, and they should support each other in shining and rising together. And it's like one of our mottos for Festival Maná, one of the mottos that's really strong for me, is like, it's collaboration over competition all the time. And I think when we come together, that we are just so much stronger together. And we don't need to compete against each other anymore. And that's a real bitchy 90s 80s kind of energy, where women, had to fight for the limelight or whatever. I think coming more into where we're at now, and into maybe it's just this stage of my life, it's like, actually, no, I don't want to just do all this on my own. I want us all to do this together, because there's enough women in the world for us all, and if we can help and heal one woman, aren't we doing the job that we set out to do? Well, for me, 100%, that's what I want to do. If I can inspire one woman to change, or to go after her dream, or to maybe give herself 15 minutes a day, that ripple effects through her family, well, then we're doing right. And the more of us that can do it, the better. And
Yeah.
that's why I love to promote women on my page. Like, I promote other women that does the exact same work as me on my page, because I'm not threatened by anyone else, because I know that my gift is unique and special, but I also know that their gift is unique and special. So I think that's true feminine energy, when you can truly stand in your own, and allow other people to stand in their own, and support them on that journey as well, which is it's amazing to be able to do.
Oh, I
That's why
love
that's
that.
why I love training. That's why I love training other women, with my cacao cree facilitator training. Like I will teach them everything that I know, and I want to support them to go out and to hold space, and I will share them and I will bring them on my journey with me, because even though I do the same thing, it's not competition. This is the more people that, and cacao wants to be shared. She wants to be able to heal. She's a beautiful feminine energy,
Mm.
So this is why it's so important for me to be able to do that.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. You're lighting the fire in my belly. And, it's so amazing because actually, if you think back traditionally, how things have changed, like in shamanic tribes previously, there used to be like elder grandmothers, and
Hmm.
no matter what was happening, what wars were being fought, even though the men were going out to fight these wars, all decisions had to be made through the elders, through the group of women that held the tribe in their best interests. And
Yeah,
I just love that. I was like,
yeah,
this is how things should be getting done around here.
yeah. I
you
think
know
it's changing. I think we're going back
Oh,
that way.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I agree. There's definitely like, and we spoke into this actually with Laura Murphy in a previous episode. She's such a powerful,
Mm.
beautiful soul. And it's almost like this collective rise of the divine feminine. It's almost like the phoenix rising from the
It
flames.
is.
And the stuff that's kind of burning down around the architecture and the infrastructure of what used to be the way, it's being challenged
Mhm.
now. I think that's why we're seeing so many crazy things happening in the world around us.
I do, and I do think that I do think it's still kind of only the beginning
Mm.
of the change that is happening, and we're only in the age of Aquarius recently, and I think it's going to take a good, like I'd say, in 5 years' time, this holistic space is going to be how we're going to lead, and even 10 years' time, I think we're going to come back to more community spaces throughout Ireland, and people will come back to older traditions. Like I do definitely think that that's all coming back in, and just coming back to our roots of who we are as people, and not having this like explosion of I suppose between IA and everything that's changed, in society at the moment, but in how we show up, and even within our, like my children. I look at my children and what they have now, compared to what I would have had growing up. It's insane. I don't think we can continue at this pace, and I don't think we should continue at this pace. So I think there's going to be a stall in
Mm.
energy and a stall in speed going forward. Even though this year is very very fast already, last year was Speedy Gonzalez.
Yes.
But I'm trying to just rein it in, and slow it down a little bit, because I think that's when it's you feel more, I suppose, at ease with
Mm.
everything that's happening, especially in the world. It can be scary at times.
Well, I think we had kind of entered into such an era of being dominantly within kind of wounded yang or wounded masculine energy that actually
Mhm,
trying to even pull back from that in a society that demands us to constantly give and to constantly be
mhm,
productive and to constantly show up. And even it's so interesting because I work with a lot of people from all different kind of large corporates across Dublin, and
mhm,
although there's some lovely offerings sprinkled around the top to entice people in, the
mhm.
energetics of large corporation, generally speaking, tends to be one of doing. What can we have from you? you know? So even
Very
trying
much.
to pull back into the more yin feminine aspect of that beautiful, sticky, honey, things moving at a slower pace, the intuitive, creative aspect of our being,
Mhm,
it causes disturbance because society is not set up around that. And we
mhm.
ourselves are so conditioned. Like, if you look at how the pace at which we live our lives, it's actually bonkers, isn't it?
It's insane. And like, what did we learn from lockdown? Like we had this opportunity to stop, to pause, to reflect, and we actually went twofold as soon as we came out of it. So I think we need another opportunity to actually bring the learnings from lockdown into what we're doing now. And I know a lot of people, and in the organization that I work in, it's very much a high cortisol energy. It's a detention center, so it's I've always worked in that kind of a dynamic environment, and that's why it's so easy for me to run a festival and organize stuff like that, because that's what I've always done. But in order to slow things down, I think organizations are looking at like a shorter working week, and more options to be able to work from home. And I think when that all comes into place, and even a lot of people just traveling around and working and stuff like that, I think that will change things, because it's not always all about doing,
Mm,
because we will burn out
yeah.
from doing, 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 doing. We need to receive, we need to allow, we need to get creative, we need that balance, the yin, the yang, the masculine, the feminine. We need that little bit of balance.
Mm,
Do when we need to show up on a Monday and a Friday whenever the productive meetings are on, but then during the week, taking that time to just reflect and come back. And I do a lot of corporate work as well. And I know a lot more corporate work industries are looking for, like I do a blissful break. So I do yoga, a 1 hour yoga or breath work, and even cacao in corporate companies, which is incredible. Like it's incredible to be able to do that and bring that to corporate spaces, because it is such a masculine, highly driven energy, so to bring in the
mm.
feminine and
It's so
the
important.
sage.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think it can be tricky in some senses because as healers on the journey, I think
Mm,
people can be quite nervous going into corporate spaces because of the dominant energy. But there's so
mhm,
much healing that's needed within those
mhm,
spaces. And I always feel that when I go in, obviously you know yourself when you work energetically, like it's a big
mhm,
energy when you're in the space, but actually to bring people on a journey of connection. And like you
mhm,
say, some of the energetics of what I work with some of the women that I work with, it's like actually being at the top and leading, and kind of the dance in the energetics of kind of how that impacts their life when there's a
mhm,
competitive nature running through the team, rather than this feeling of let's come together, let's get heart centered and connect here about how we
mhm,
can actually work as a hive. It's almost like
mhm.
the hive mind with the bees collectively working together,
Yeah,
rather than actually trying to go out there and
com
do it alone and compete,
yeah,
you know.
mm,
And I think with COVID, it was so wild because actually it gave people the opportunity to step back, but the pivotal part of the stepping back, which was the community, wasn't there to
mhm,
hold people within that. Wouldn't it be so amazing if we could step back into being held within
yes,
this community?
yeah. I do yearn for it. I do think it will, because I loved lockdown. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was brilliant, you know. I loved the whole less busy, less driven time. I even traffic, it really triggers me, like the traffic. Now they're changing the speed limits. It's like, wow, we're going to be even slower. It's like they're forcing us to slow down a little bit. And I'm a Gemini. I'm like, everything is 20 miles an hour.
I love
But
it.
yeah, it's really interesting to see, I think, how it's going to unfold over the next couple of years, especially within the holistic space. And I think marrying the medical, like there's a lot of another doctor, Jennifer, that I work with the menopause stuff. Like she's now marrying the medical with the holistic, and she's going to bring together her own clinics, which is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing a diploma on women's hormonal health and menopause, so I'm
Amazing.
starting that in a couple of weeks.
Oh my
So I'm
God,
really,
amazing.
really looking forward to that. So
Yeah.
it's just the real dark, or the real background into the hormones and the effect of the hormones on the body, and just understanding it a lot more. I've done a lot of research myself, but
Yeah.
there's so much to learn and there's so much more to know, and it's as you know, it's not a one fits all.
Mm.
Working with hormones with any woman, it's really working with those individuals, and finding the perfect fit for them through lifestyle, through medication, whatever it is, through nutrition. But ultimately it's finding what hormone is out of sync,
Yeah.
and address it.
Oh my God, you're so right. And I love that you're on this journey. So it's so fascinating because I think the menstrual cycle in and of itself is so complex.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
changes that we were talking about there with regard to actually expected to be showing up in a certain way every day, or like you say, working out in a certain way every day, but
Mm-hmm.
actually there's such huge fluctuations even from morning to night at certain stages in the cycle. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
actually, what's it like to flow with the flow of hormones within the body, and what
Yeah,
does that look like to do the dance with it. And with I'm finding it fascinating now because I always had a fascinating with blood work because
yeah,
I love the numbers. It appeals to my logical mind, you know.
yeah.
Um, but what I'm finding fascinating now is actually taking the numbers and the hormonal levels into context in relation to the energy and
Oh, and
the
symptoms, I would
oh my
say.
God. Well, the
Yeah,
thing is, for me, I feel like the physical body is a manifestation of stuff that's happening on a mental, emotional, and energetic level.
mhm,
So when I kind of trace back, like if something's going on a physiological level in the body, I'm kind of
mm,
thinking, well, actually, what's the other dominoes that have led to this tipping over here?
mhm,
And now that I'm doing all the blood work in tandem with the energy and
mhm.
all the other bits and pieces, it's actually quite wild when you interpret hormone levels in relation to energy. It,
Oh,
oh my
I'd say
God.
it's insane, yeah.
So with all of my panels, I've started doing just full panels looking at for women, obviously looking at androgens like your testosterone and looking at all the classic hormones, obviously estrogen,
Mhm.
progesterone, your FSH, your
Yeah.
LH, all these things.
Mm,
But even slight discrepancies in that, when you actually look at how people live their
mm.
lives, you can actually link the hormone discrepancy to their lifestyle or just the energetics of how they're showing up on the day to day. It's
Like
mad.
this really blows my mind because this is such recent data that has never been collected. Why are we coming to this point in our lives and none of this research or data is available for us as women? You know, we should be taught this in school.
Yeah.
You know, we should be taught, like there's an ad that goes out every, winter, take your vitamin D because the sun's not going to be shining, blah, 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 blah. Why are they not saying women from this age to that age, go get your bloods checked, go check your estrogen level, check your testosterone, like how are you feeling, and but that doesn't happen. It's not until the amount of it's not until you actually feel the symptoms yourselves. And I went through it myself, and it was really, really, really dark at times. I was struggling to come to terms with what is going on.
Mm.
I reached 40. I felt incredible at the age of 40, the fittest I'd probably been in my life. And then it kind of just went downhill from that because I was obviously perimenopausal at the time but didn't realize it. And I went and got the blood work done, and the bloods came back normal. And because of my age,
Normal.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
this normal drives me mad.
normal,
Yeah.
but because of the age, like the symptoms were really kicking in, the sleep, the like kind of night terrors, I'd say really dark, intrusive thoughts during the night, which was really frightening. My skin really acted up, my scalp got really irritated, and it was all hormonal. And then the pain of my period, like for about 2 to 3 weeks out of every month, I was taken over by this really heavy pain in my womb space. And I got a lot of healing, and I done a lot of work myself with it. But it wasn't until I started taking the HRT to actually balance out the hormones that were depleted.
Mm.
It started with progesterone, that eased a little bit, then I went with estrogen, and
Mm.
then testosterone was the winner for me. That was
Yeah.
the missing link, and I feel like a teenager again almost. I feel
Yeah.
amazing, and I'm so happy that I'm able to feel like this. And there's so many women that I help out there now that are the doctors are putting them on antidepressants. They're not getting the help. And like I'd
Yeah.
always say, the British Menopause Society, I go to that for everything. It has like so much recent data and research. You
Yeah.
should check it out. And like even the research and data that you're doing now, that should be available you know,
Yeah.
for women to be able to say, let's look at your bloods, but let's look at your energy, but let's look at your symptoms, and let's look at everything together, your whole lifestyle, because
Yes.
the whole thing with breast cancer and that research that was done many years ago that put a lot of women off, like Gay Byrne came on in the 80s and said, do not take HRT. Most of our Irish women stopped taking HRT because of that one program, and that was the result. Like how crazy of a society that we live in,
Yeah.
and they suffered. Imagine this suffering that went on because they weren't getting their HRT, and it's
Yeah.
only hormone replacement therapy, just like that vitamin D. When the sun isn't out, we're just replacing the vitamin D that we need in our body.
Yeah.
So I was always like, I'm going to be holistic and not go for HRT. But when I done my own research and how I feel now, I'm so glad I made that
That you made
choice,
the
and I've
decision.
done, yeah, to help myself. And just the amount of women that are out there suffering
Yeah.
alone or suffering and they're not getting what they need from their GP. You know, what would be your advice from a medical background for these women, you know?
Like, thank you so much for your vulnerability, just sharing your experience. It's so important for
Mhm,
women to speak about this and to for other women to hear, oh my God, I'm not on this
mhm,
journey alone. Like, this
mhm,
frustration isn't just me here, you know? Because I think for change to happen, there has to be discussions around what's not being said. And this is all to
yeah.
do with the expression piece and the
Mhm,
burden that women carry silently, you
yeah.
know. And actually
Mhm,
it's time that isn't part of our culture anymore, that actually women are speaking about their experiences, that it's
mhm.
normal to talk about your period, you know,
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
normal to talk about symptoms on your body, like.
Exactly.
And I'm finding, so, you know, it's quite interesting because when I moved into the holistic space, I swung very heavily into the energy can heal everything, um
Yeah.
but
Which it can,
oh,
but
it is so
it
mad.
doesn't make you
Like,
gym,
I
so
well, that's it. I absolutely adore it. But the thing is, the more now that I'm kind of deep into the blood work aspect of it, and I'm referring for investigations and kind of putting all the pieces together with regard to all aspects of who we are. The stuff that
Mm,
I'm seeing is quite shocking. Like, I got 5 ultrasound reports back from women that I'd referred on to an absolutely exceptional uh, sonographer for women's health. She
mhm,
specialized in fertility. And 4 out of 5 of those ladies have had symptoms for up to a decade. And 4 out of 5 of them had polycystic ovaries. 2 of them had evidence on ultrasound of endometriosis. One of them had been put on a pill back to back, hasn't had a bleed in 3 years, feeling very emotionally fragile, very unheard, and with
mhm.
deep pelvic pain, and has never been referred for any imaging. There's never been a discussion around it. And that to me
Yeah,
is
that's
heartbreaking. Like,
crazy.
but if you look at the bloods, there is so much inflammation in the body.
Mm,
Like, the
yeah,
inflammation markers are up. And I'm thinking the impact that this has in the long term for this lady, like,
mhm,
because I do so much fertility work, it isn't about just bringing women on journeys now with their
mhm.
fertility. It's actually fertility preserving for the future, and actually
Yes.
helping women to come out the other side of a journey of having had babies, or maybe deciding not to have babies at all. All of
Yeah.
these things have implications for the body, you know.
Mm.
And
And
yeah.
and even I suppose going through that journey, obviously then it's counterintuitive, as in you're stressed, you're not finding answers, you're feeling like overwhelmed and almost defeated because you're not getting what you need. You're not get you feel like there's no help out there, which is really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's triggering your cortisol level. So you're like in a high cortisol, which is knocking all of the any hormones that were working or doing what they were supposed to be doing, knocking them out of, sync then as well. So it's like this hamster wheel of and nothing is happening, nothing is changing, but
Mhm.
but you're feeling worse and worse and worse and worse, and it's just like it's very frustrating. It's
Well,
very frustrating for women.
do you know, it's so interesting to speak about cortisol. So obviously society pushes women into this very dominant kind of doing energy. And, you know, when cortisol rises through the body, no problem. When cortisol rises through the body, cortisol needs building blocks. It needs Lego blocks to be constructed. It's like all these little things come together to create these molecules. And one of the building blocks that's used to create cortisol, that is also the building block that's used to create estrogen and testosterone. So actually, if your body is like, holy shit, we need that, give us that, because we need to produce cortisol here, because we need to keep this person in a state of fight or flight, because if she needs to leg it away from what danger, which could be a text message or an email these days, that's how much the body is triggered, that building block gets diverted to cortisol production, away from the generation of estrogen and away from the generation of testosterone. Now, you know, when we actually think about that, no wonder there's so much hormone imbalance. Actually, if you're thinking, well, actually, the building blocks of what I need to generate estrogen and testosterone are getting shifted to cortisol production. no wonder we're seeing such huge changes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, estrogen is so important for women. It's so
Mm.
important for bones, for every tissue, every cell in the body
Has an
thrives.
estrogen receptor. Every cell in our body and every organ has estrogen receptors. So
Totally. And even with the, so
don't
we don't
have
pay enough attention to testosterone for women unless women have polycystic ovaries and you're getting surges of
yeah.
this testosterone. But
It's
actually,
very hard to get prescribed testosterone. Like it's very hard.
well, usually what I
Mm,
tend to work with now is with women that come through, something you can get over the counter. Now,
mm,
providing that we've had a look at the bloods and everything like that, is DHEA, which is one of the precursors. So
mhm.
actually taking that under guidance, obviously, I'm seeing a lovely support with the
Mhm.
testosterone, and it actually gives your estrogen a lovely natural boost as well. And it doesn't need to be prescribed. So
So
seeing someone that can
DH,
guide you,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I've heard actually Dr. Jennifer speaks about that a lot. And magnesium I know is another really important one, but it's magnesium you have to take the vitamin K, isn't it, with it
yeah.
to the absorption. Like I mean you need a MIMS book, when you
Yeah.
go like what do I need to take? And I'm like I laugh at some of them Instagram things. It's like you've about a million things before you feel normal. But that's almost how it is these days, which is insane. But
Yeah.
like that's why I don't think we can sustain this for very much longer. Like how many more decades can we actually sustain this kind of living?
Oh,
You
I 100% agree with you. And actually, it's so important to recognize, and I hope everybody listened to this, is just getting a flavor of actually, in order to heal from the societal wounds of
know?
what women have experienced for decades and
Yeah. Mhm.
generations, it's important that actually we take a very holistic approach with it. How can you optimize the physical body and optimize your physiology and your hormones? But also, what does it mean to heal on an emotional level, a mental level,
Mhm.
an energetic level? What does it look like to connect with spirit and actually receive some
Mhm.
guidance for the path that you need to take? You know,
Yeah,
there's so many different
definitely.
ways that healing actually needs to occur to be meaningful, I think, in order to
Yeah.
heal the whole part of who we
Mm.
are. Would you agree?
100%. Like it is on so many levels, like holistically, energetically, like emotionally, but then also the physical body, but a lifestyle as well, a huge part to play in it. And I think it's given ourselves that respect that our body needs as women, to really feel more in our feminine and more empowered. Like feminine energy isn't always just about sitting back and receiving. It's also very powerful energy when you truly understand it, when you truly feel it. So it's the most powerful energy, I would say. And to be able to experience that and just know that you're you're whole. You are whole. Obviously we all have imperfections, and there's no such thing as perfectness, or perfectionness, is that the right word? I don't know. But to be feel whole as a woman, I think that is the most important, and that is the ultimate goal, that we just feel, regardless of everything else, that we feel that we're doing the best for ourselves, and that we feel you
Yeah.
know
I
in that energy.
I definitely think that society has brought women on a journey where it's actually vilified their bodies, I think. Like,
Hmm.
and this is something that I see, and a lot of the healing that happens with the womb work, it's actually bringing women on a journey to actually fall back in love with their womb, to fall
Hmm.
back in love with their bodies. Because I think the way, if you kind of look at how it's worked through the infrastructure of the church in Ireland, this kind of the dance with shame and kind of
Hmm.
the things that went unsaid for
The
women.
banishing of Sheila na gig, Sheila,
Yes.
the banishing of that because it was a vulva, and it was shameful and dirty, and whereas we're reigniting Sheila na gig and Sheila's day, and I think that that's really important, and stepping back into loving our bodies and loving all parts of our bodies is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it comes a lot with age though as well. So when I was in my 20s and 30s, I would have been very insecure, and I think now it's just like I don't care. I absolutely love my body.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
I'm proud of my body, and I'm proud of every
Mm.
part of it, and I think that's a nice space.
Well, if you think about it, kind of, going on a journey with some of the work that I do with the women. Um,
Mm,
on a fertility journey, a lot of them that come to see me, some of them have experienced losses, which is heartbreaking.
mhm.
But it's almost
Yeah,
like this dance then comes in of you're not doing what you're supposed to do, womb, and actually I'm
yeah.
really annoyed with you, and then that
Mhm,
causes further discrepancy within the
mhm,
body. And then I start to see kind of disturbances within the cell types that occur within the body. So it's almost like this kind of autoimmune picture starts to form with like and
mm,
this, even the name of the cells that we screen for with some of the autoimmune pictures, is like natural killer cells. Like there's certain types of cells that rise through the body, and if you think about it, they're inflammatory cells, flame,
mm,
but it's the flame of anger and disgust with the actual body and the womb, because it's perceived to not be doing the job that it should be.
mhm.
And actually part of the journey is to fall back in love with the womb, be like, I trust you, I
Yeah,
trust you, I love you. And maybe you were told for so many years during your teenage years, you better not get pregnant. So actually there's this limiting belief, and you're telling your body, like, what was the arrangement like in your psyche with the relationship you had with the womb? Did you hate having a bleed? Did you hate your womb because you
mm,
were bleeding? Or perhaps you were relieved every time you bled because it meant you weren't pregnant?
yeah.
All of these subconscious programmings, they're also important when you're actually on a journey sometimes with this stuff that we all need
Absolutely.
to tease out.
Yeah.
So just to recap as we're finishing up, tell us just a little bit about when Festival Manaw is and how the beautiful women of Ireland can connect with you about that, and kind of what you do, and also about the work you're doing with all the menopause aspect, which is also so important.
Okay, so Festival Knot, we've just had it. It was on the 4th of January this year, and it celebrates Nullig Naman. So the next one, probably, we may have a summer one, but it'll probably be more of a Mana meetup, a gathering. But the next one will be on in 2026.
Oh my God.
But we do have Mana meetup. So we had our St. Bridget's nationwide Mana meetup where we meet in different parts of the, like, generally Belfast, Cork. I love working in Belfast. The energy is incredible. I love working in different parts of the country. It's absolutely so fascinating how the energies are so different. It really blows my mind. I absolutely love it. So we work in Galway, Cork, Belfast, and Dublin and Meath. So our St. Bridget's one was absolutely incredible. Like there was over 300 women, I think, in total. And it was just, the energy was electric. It really, really was. It really brought me through this week. Our next one is going to be for Sheila's weekend. So that's again going to be Cork, Dublin, Cork, Meath, sorry, Galway, and Belfast. So I'll be sharing links for that probably this week. And then we'll have another meet up in June. It'll be around the solstice time now, whether it's going to be a full on festival or just a meet up. And then we have an autumn equinox meet up, and then the festival. So we kind of meet 4 times a year, and then we have the festival. So it's amazing. It's just really about empowering women, bringing us together. We connect to the beautiful heart space with cacao. We connect to ourselves through movement, through the energies of whatever it is, whether it's Bridget's energy or whether it's Sheila's energy. We'll always be connecting to an energy and really connecting to each other. And the energy is always incredible. We have so much fun. We practice breath work, cacao, yoga, everything. So it's brilliant. So check them out. For my Zenopause journey, so this is something that I'd say it was this time last year I was really, really struggling to come to terms with everything, with my hormones, with everything, all the changes that were happening. And it just came to me one day. I just sat in meditation. It was like, right, okay, Lorraine, how can you bring this forward? How can you actually help other women? Because that's always ultimately what I want to do, is to be of service and to help and empower other women. And it just came to me, my Zenopause journey. I'm going to share my journey, and just came, my Zenopause journey. So I love what it's called, and it's really about marrying like your yoga, your breath work, your check in with yourself, your nutrition, your lifestyle, your exercise, looking at all of those factors, as well as looking at how we can help balance our hormones, getting the bloods done, linking up with the likes of yourself and linking up with the likes of Dr. Jennifer, and really going deep into helping yourself and not doing this alone and coming together, as a community, using our voice, talking about it. We still have, there's a lot of shame still, I don't know why, attached to menopause. Like I had a woman that was coming to my workshop, which is tomorrow, and she was like, oh God, I wouldn't go to that now because it's in my local community. I wouldn't have anyone seeing me go to a menopause workshop. And I was just like, oh my God. So it's still there. That shocked me, but it's still there. So you're talking about women my age, from the age of 40, 35, all the way up to 60, and we have a great network of women that we meet monthly on Zoom and just chat and share. I just think the whole thing about menopause is it's not going to be a one fits all for anyone. And the more we can share and talk about, well, I had that symptom, well, I had that, and I experienced this, and I'm going through this, and like women are like really, really struggling, to come to terms with it, and it's that stage in your life where you should be shining and you should be rising, but then you get hit with this menopause journey that you have to then embrace. So, there's so much help out there. I think we need to do more. I think the work you're doing is incredible as well. And the more we can speak about it, and the more we can try and get women the help that they actually need to take control of their own health. Even in this day and age, that you have to actually take the ownership and take control and be very proactive about
Yeah.
your treatment, and how you
You're
get the
so
help.
right. And this is the whole thing about finding your voice, being able to really find
Mm,
yourself in your sense of expression, to advocate for yourself in and like
yeah.
the thing is it's so hard because after training in the medical system, people in the system, they have kind hearts that are got into doing what they did
Yeah.
to help people, but it's the system that's broken. So it's so
Hmm.
tricky because when you go to see someone, they only have 10 minutes to spend with you, and we're not actually trained in medical school to ask any questions about nutrition. Energy is a foreign concept, like, and even the
Hmm.
holistic space is kind of considered woo woo. But actually, to be honest with you, it's a primary chunk of who we are outside of just the physical body.
Yeah.
So it's about actually empowering yourself to reach out, look for all the answers that you can, but not focusing maybe on just one site, or just relying on someone within a system that just doesn't have the capacity to hold you in all those spaces, and going out and trying to
Hmm.
find people like what you're doing is just so amazing for the women of Ireland. And I all these beautiful, beautiful kind of healers for women on this nation, um, or in this nation. It's just so important to ask the questions, to speak, to network, and to find, like you say, the the different tools that are going to work within your toolbox. That might not necessarily be the same as someone else's toolbox, but actually, it's just about finding what works to you. There's trial and error in that. You're going to find some practitioners that are going to support you, and you will absolutely learn so much and go on a journey with. But it might be you have 4 or 5 different people that you're working with to give you what you need on that journey, and that's so so important. So I love what you're saying. I love what you're doing, and it's been such a privilege to chat to you. And hopefully we'll be able to connect for many many more um deep chats about everything. And I'm just so excited. Oh, yes, come in. We'll do some womb work. Oh, it'll be such a privilege and such a pleasure to work with you. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been
Thank
lovely.
you. Thank you so much for having me. It's
And
been a pleasure.
if you'd like to connect, we will in the show notes we'll include some links to your work and your bits and pieces, and I encourage you to absolutely reach out. All the lovely folks that are listening to this podcast, please reach out to either of us if there's any support that you need on your journey in this world. There are people out there to help you and to hear you and see you with everything, and we love you, and we will chat to you again soon. So thank you so much.